What's going on, New Fighting Order? This is your host, Alex Lexus, and Nelson Rios, co-executive producers of Fighting Game League and NMO. Today we have our esteemed guest of Tough Nerd Toys LLC, Tough Nerd Toys himself. All right, so we have him on today because we're actually going to do our impressions of Metal Gear Rising that was released. Now, those of you who weren't fortunate enough to get the game early like all of us did, we got into every crack, every corner, dark crevice of this game, and we're just going to give our impressions on it. We're going to go around the table. I'm going to give Nelson the floor, but I know Nelson's playing right now. Matter of fact, I'll give Tough Nerd the floor first. Then I'll work around to Nelson, I'll go last. But, Tough, what are your initial impressions of this Metal Gear Rising?
A breath of fresh air within the hack and slash genre. It's what Ninja Gaiden 3 and what Devil May Cry, that new crap that they put out, should have been. Plain and simple.
I agree.
It also goes to show that there is life outside of stepping outside the box without making the next Call of Duty, so on and so forth. The gameplay was fluid. Yes, every game has its flaws. Nothing's 100%, but I completely enjoyed that game. I completely enjoyed it from beginning to end. I just wish it was a bit longer, but I still enjoyed it. Definitely enjoyed it. It was almost similar to the enjoyment that I had, and it gave me faith as Asura's Wrath did.
And you know what? I was about to say that. I was telling Nelson this yesterday when not trying to spoil it, but there was a part in the final boss battle. I'm like, it was straight out of Asura's Wrath. Like, holy.
Yeah, but you know what? The quick times weren't. It wasn't too many quick times. It was enough. It was well paced with the action.
It wasn't overdone like Resident Evil.
Exactly. And even those who are fans of the Metal Gear series, it also incorporated a little bit of Metal Gear, but it was still its own game. I completely enjoyed the game. For a hack and slash, it's definitely what I was looking for. Unlike Devil May Crap. Devil May Crap was horrible. Simply horrible.
All right.
But I wish I was there to do the review with that one.
Yeah, that was time conflicts, but you're always going to be on for the bigger games. So
Yes.
But
I appreciate
Nelson,
I appreciate being on the show.
Yeah, hey, you're always welcome. So Nelson, what are your initial thoughts before we go into specifics with Metal Gear Rising?
Well, as what I can say right now, to agree with Danae, this is a definite breath of fresh air. I've been needing to play a game like this for a long time now, due to the fact that we've been having nothing but easy-ass casual games for like the past couple of years. And this game actually has a little difficulty with, the right execution, the right amount of enemies, the right amount of bullshit you need, just like Ninja Gaiden. But right now, as you can see, you guys watching the stream and viewing this on YouTube, which this will be going on, this game is enjoyable. I'm sitting here playing the game with, like, so much desire to keep replaying it, unlike Devil May Cry, just like Danae said. So...
Now, my initial impression of the game is coming off the heels of the Devil May Cry reboot. The game, the pace of the game is a lot faster than Devil May Cry Ninja Theory. Okay, now I think I had to really train myself. Like, wait a minute, this is like a futuristic Ninja Gaiden. There's a lot of similarities there. You also feel the spirit of Bayonetta in the game too, but the DNA of the Metal Gear saga is still incorporated within this series. It's a spin-off. And for those of you guys who are, diehard pro Snake, you got to understand, it's not Metal Gear Solid. It's Metal Gear Rising. It's a side story. This is what happens to the world after the Patriots filter gets destroyed after Snake did his thing in Metal Gear Solid 4, so
and it paves the way for a new protagonist, within his separate end of the story. I think it's wonderful because everybody, not to interject, but everybody was hitting me up on Xbox Live like, oh, where's Solid Snake in here? I said, no, he's not. No. It was like, oh man, it ain't no Metal Gear game then. I said, well, for you, maybe not. I said, so it's just not for you then. But I absolutely enjoy it. Continue. I'm
Now,
sorry.
and to caveat on what you said, Tough, it's interesting in a way where it somewhat introduced Metal Gear to a new fan base. The hack and slash guys who
Exactly.
ordinarily wouldn't
Exactly.
have given Metal Gear a chance. Now they got bits and pieces of the story. Even though they can play this game, not having played the past games, it's gonna be like, okay, like you got characters that one or two that appeared in the past games, and like, hey, who's Sonny? And then you go backtrack, and then maybe they
Exactly.
can go and experience the other Metal Gear games. So I think Konami outsourcing the gameplay development to Platinum Games was a top-notch A+
Me
decision.
too.
Very smart. Now if Capcom was smart, they would have went to Platinum Games to create the new Devil May Cry. But they wanted to go Ninja Theory route. They wanted to go platforming and all this other stuff, and have a slow paced game. And of course, yes, the only gripe against this game is the game's length. But Platinum Games designed it so that you want to go and do multiple playthroughs. Hell, you got a plethora
Exactly.
of VR
Exactly.
missions. I mean, the game is styled in a way where you want to go and best your score. You want to go back and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to use the crowd control weapon, which the staff that you get from Mistral. Or,
Right. Right.
try to work your way with Sundowner's scissor,
With
and
the
which was an interesting
chops. Yeah,
weapon.
exactly. Yeah.
Now, I've never seen a weapon, or I haven't seen a weapon like that in like recent history. I know Guilty Gear got weapons like that, but the Sundowner weapon was pretty cool, even though it's that slow hammer like
If
melee
you know what the
high
sundowner
damage.
weapon is, basically you basically have to distance yourself and time yourself with using it. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying in terms of like
Mhm.
if you see like it's a large crowd, you have to start assessing that crowd and distance between, like, okay, maybe I should charge it up now and get it ready so I can attack. You know what I mean? Or
Mhm.
like, you know what, I'm gonna attack these guys from the head. But like if you want a real good crowd control weapon, that whip, oh man, that
Yeah,
whip
Mistral's
moves the
weapon.
crowd. Trust me. All you see is people
Yeah.
up in there like, like just get it.
Honestly, I prefer that weapon. I find it easier to combo with it as opposed to using
Hmm.
the Sai, which kind of
It's a good juggler
has a
too.
Devil
It's
May.
good for
Yeah,
juggling too.
yeah, and when you got the Sai, you can stun people or grab and
Right.
pull towards. That almost felt like the Devil May Cry Ninja Theory
Yeah, of course.
and
Well, of
everything.
course, you're gonna get some mimicking within like all, hack and slash games. You can't be but so innovative within a genre. But that right there, as I said before, it was a breath of fresh air. I expected that type of gameplay, that type of storyline, that type of enjoyment and entertainment from DMC, but I did not get that. Not at
Hmm.
all. DMC to
DMC, the
me, and
combat is pretty. It was okay because you can continuously fight. But with the Bloody Palace DLC that just came out and everything, people can spread their wings. But in the confines of Metal Gear Rising, the combat is a little more stylish to me. It's more Devil May Cry
oh yeah,
Bayonetta ish.
yeah, yeah, and
You know,
it's more intense. It's more intrusive in terms of like
intense.
you actually like see him going. He'd be like grab it out and just crush it.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
good game. It's a very good
Mm-hmm.
single player game. Like I
Yep.
said before, it gives me faith within single player hack and slash action games again. Because I mean, like, it, it goes to show that everything doesn't have to be multiplayer. Everything does not have
Yeah,
to be
absolutely.
multiplayer to be fun and to be enjoyable.
Yeah,
And don't get me wrong, I'm
absolutely.
a multiplayer fan. I love playing Gears multiplayer, so on and so forth. But everything does. Sometimes it's good to have a good solo story or a co-op
Absolutely.
story that you can actually embellish upon and enjoy.
Okay. Now, Nelson, what are your thoughts with the weapons that Danae and I were just referring to?
Well, from what I can tell, I'm gonna be honest. I have yet to play with the whip. I have yet to play with the sai. I have yet to play with the scissors or the Sam's red weapon that can cut through like certain types of metal. But from what I can tell from
Uh huh.
like the trailers and people streaming and stuff like that, those unique weapons give you by far the ultimate aspect of the game. Like you have complete control of your enemy with all 4 of those weapons. Complete control. And it's just like, it's amazing how, like,
Okay.
when you're in a scenario such as like when I'm with now, I'm fighting these their nicknames are like black crocodiles. I don't know like their actual names, but if you was to use the whip or the
Yeah.
scissor move, you can kill them in like maybe probably 5 seconds,
Yes.
if best, because of how strong and devastating they are.
Now,
And they are very good with crowd control. But the uniqueness with
now
Kojima.
I wanted to get into specifics. Oh, I'm sorry. You
No,
were
I'm
saying
just saying,
Nelson?
like, the uniqueness with Kojima, he just hit it on the money with it. It's just, with the weirdness and all, with the weapons, like, with the hands and all that other stuff, like, that kind of freaked me out, but, it's in the right place.
Okay.
With
Now,
each playthrough, you're going to learn to love that game more and more, Rios. Believe me when I
yeah,
tell
you're
you.
you're gonna experiment more. You're gonna try different things, and oh yeah, I'm gonna try this. But I wanted to get on some of the flaws of the game, and then finish on a up note with best qualities of the game. Changing weapons on the fly. That's a wish that like
Yeah.
with DMC. DMC did that right. Okay, we can't take
Right.
anything away from that. Like, the weapons
Right.
change on the
I
fly,
agree.
whereas in this game you have to go to the menu, go back. It kind of went retro with it. Now that
And
would have been
actually
cool
changing
if
some
you
of the
can.
weapons became more of a chore because, like, you would have to actually have your character still and then change the
Yeah,
weapon. Like, because,
I
it was
noticed
for
that.
some reason, I guess it wasn't responsive enough or something, but I would definitely be tapping the button, the directional pad to change the weapon, and it wouldn't change. I was like, come on, I really need this right now. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And I believe the game is at version 1.1 or 1.0.
Yeah,
Right.
1.0.
Hopefully they can patch that in, because yeah, I mean, I want to be able to use the whip and the staff, then switch to Sundowner's weapon, and then switch to the side, and
Right.
keep it continuous. Because again, that's the one thing that DMC did right, that it has over this game. Overall, I mean, that's one thing that they could have worked on, and the whole thing where if you have to go to the sub menu, right, and like literally has to have his feet planted before you can go and change. So
Right,
that's
exactly.
something that I kind of deducted points for that. But also one thing that I was noticing in past Metal Gear games, because Kojima and the team at Konami helped write the story for the original story for this, but we do know that I believe the length and some of the things that were suffered in the story was because they had to start over, didn't have enough time to flesh it out like past Metal Gear games. Like, for instance, you had the villains like Sniper Wolf, one character that you learned to identify with, that you became attached to. And, even though she was a villain, when she died, like, you kind of felt that, you
Right.
didn't really have that in this game, because it's almost as if the characters
It was a
were
rush
there.
project.
Yeah, like Mistral. I wish that it was kind of fleshed out a little more, but that's also due to the game's length. They should have made it where it was more like there was conflict of ideologies, like Snake was having through all of the Metal Gear Saga.
Right.
I think
Right. I
that
agree.
what'll happen later in future games, because the way the game ended, there's going to be a sequel. But,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think that they need to increase the length, and I think it have definitely done that. Like, the 7 missions, you can have broke them down into 3 submissions in that mission, per se, to kind of do further character development. Same thing with Raiden's team, like with Boris and
Right.
all the people behind them. It's not like you get attached to Naomi. It's not like you get attached to the Colonel, or like Rose and things of that nature throughout the Metal Gear story. But Janae, I want to give you some.
I agree. Some character development should have been in there. It does need some character development when it comes to certain characters. I agree completely. Believe me when I tell you. But within the flaws of that game, the storyline, the gameplay, it makes up for a lot. But as you were saying, the weapon switching system and the weapon, traversing from one weapon to another, it does need to be improved, because a lot of times I got hit within the game trying to switch a weapon. You know what I mean? And in that game, it's all about reaction, which I enjoy.
And the thing is, the game will reward you. You'll get an S rating if you don't take damage. But if you're sitting there trying to switch a weapon, it's almost as if, all right, you know what, I'm going to use this weapon. It's like Devil May Cry 3, which suffered from that too. Like, you stuck with your style until you got to the divinity statue, so that you can go and change your style, change whatever. Even though you can change your guns on the fly in Devil May Cry 3, or change between two weapons. If there's one other weapon that you wanted to do, I mean, the best example of changing styles and weapons on the fly was Devil May Cry 4 Dante. If it was done like that, I think that it would have been perfect. Like, I would have gave it, like, you know, a very, very, very strong score. You know, but Nelson, what are your thoughts on the character development, the length of the game?
The length of the game, I am very disappointed at. I'm just going to be fairly honest. That's probably my only disappointment about the game. On a normal playthrough with cutscenes, even if you listen to the codex, the game was only 4 hours and 10 minutes long for me on the normal difficulty.
Yeah.
On the harder difficulty, I don't know what it's going to be, because right now I'm kind of breezing through it, to be honest with you. But there should have been a little bit more character story, a little bit more background, so we could like get to grow on the enemies, get to grow on like the side characters that even newcomers could like come in, like Sunny. No one knows who Sunny is if you just pick this shit up. No one knows who Sam is. No one knows who Sundown is, or.
But we know who Sunny is. You know, those of us who play.
Yeah, exactly. Like when I first saw it, I said, "Oh," I was like, "Oh shit, Sunny!" Like that, right? Yeah. I was like, "Wow," you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, she all grown up and everything, you know.
Yeah, but, exactly.
But you know, other things that I wish. I'm pretty sure DLC will come out, but games like this, when they're short like that, they need to have episodes. Like, you see, like Asura's Wrath, even though I didn't like how Capcom handled the last 4 episodes, release, you know, extra content, extra stories. I was gonna pitch an idea for Final Fight where, side-scrolling beat 'em up, but to keep it fresh, come up with new episodes like Walking Dead, and how each week you had something pop up, or like Spartan Ops for Halo. You know, you'll keep it, you know, it will justify the $60 price tag for the content, okay? And that's kind of why you got some people who are just on the fence with it. But I tell you, if you're a Devil May Cry fan or a hack and slash fan, you're going to love this game. It's a lot of fun. I think the way that Platinum Games designed it to make for multiple playthroughs kind of makes it a little bit forgiving, because you'll find yourself playing over and over even after you beat it.
That's true.
Now,
that's very true.
Here's one other thing I'll mention. There's some certain types of gamers who pick the game up and beat it real quick. I am, you know, for the first time, got caught off guard, especially with the final boss. If you don't know, like, we had the game early. There were no tutorials. There were no game facts. There was no YouTube videos. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm going in Sendatsu mode. What am I supposed to cut? I was getting my ass kicked by Sundown.
Yeah, like,
I was getting my ass kicked
I would
by
just
the
let it
last
play
boss.
by itself. When it first came to the Zendatsu, I would just be like, and then he would hit me. I was like, oh, come on. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he just cracked me. You know what I'm saying?
That was unforgiving. And I'm pretty sure Nelson liked that, because it's like Ninja Theory kind of babied you through the whole game. This game threw you into the fire, or threw you into the pit.
You learned things through trial and error.
Yeah. And that was the beauty of it. That brought the old school difficulty of the games back.
Exactly.
And I will tell you this. If you're a casual gamer, this is not the game for you. You're going to get your ass kicked.
Not at all. Not at all.
Bottom line.
Can I tell him one secret, though? Can I tell him one secret, though?
Yeah.
Or do you want me to shut up, Alex?
No,
it's all about the parry. It's all about the parry. It's all about the parry. Trust me when I tell you.
If you time it right, like if you do the impact parry, you actually can get into instant Zendatsu mode, or you know, you can play it safe and just regular block. Those of you who are having issues with it, keep your finger on the thumb on the X button, and just go into your enemy and hit the X button. You're gonna automatically block. Also, those of you who thought the game doesn't have a dodge mechanic, it does. It's more like
Thank
an
you.
defensive, offensive maneuver where you hit the X and the A button and you press left or right. It's like a dodge strafe. And if you
Right.
hold the opposite direction, like you press down, X
Mm-hmm.
and A, you'll do a backflip. In with the
Right.
final boss and the fight with Sam, that saved my ass on many occasions because I was complaining to Nelson, and Nelson can confirm that I was getting blown up. I didn't know what to do, but the game, trial and error. But once you get good at it, it'll give you a sense of reward where you're out there getting those S rankings, getting all those
Exactly.
points to upgrade your character, things of that nature. So,
It
Nelson,
actually.
what do you? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Danae.
No. Go ahead.
Yeah,
It
Nelson.
actually makes me feel like how can I say, like learning a new fighting game in a sense. Like in terms of like, with the parry system and everything like that. Like it took me for some reason, it kind of took me back to Street Fighter 3 Third Strike.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what I
very
mean? Because
true.
I was like, oh shit. I was like, bang, like, and I knocked him to where like he was dizzy. When I parried him, he went like this. He got dizzy. I was like, oh man, I love this game.
Yeah,
It
game
made me
takes a
feel.
lot more
It took me
skill.
back to a time where it was all about reaction. You had to react. It wasn't just like it's not a mindless hack and slash. Like a lot of people think they're gonna go in there and just hit certain combos and what. No, especially when it comes to certain bosses. You can do all the combos you want. You can hack and slash all you want. If you don't have their pattern down to a science and have your parry up to par, you're going to be on that game a very long time.
Yeah, the senator will put you on your ass quick, real good. But Nelson, what are your thoughts on the gameplay mechanics? That Danae and I were talking
Well,
about.
the gameplay mechanics, oh my god, like, oh my god, do I have to say more? Like, this game is it's just good. It's running at 60 frames per second, so it allows me to stay consistently into the
Yep.
action. So that's good for one. Two, there's always something there, whether if it's like a drone enemy or like right now I'm about to get into a fight and I'm about to fight at least about 10 warriors right now, whether if it's like a gecko or a fucking guy with a rocket launcher. It's always consistently, and plus it makes you have that feel. Like, I don't like to be forced to be babied like in a Devil May Cry. Oh, hit this and this to do that. I'm like, dude, let me just learn it. I don't give a fuck. Just like how I learned how to dodge on my own, just like how I learned how to do the tornado and the demo. It's just trial and error. People are just so conformed to having like everything thrown at them. I can't stand that, so I actually like the fact that they have a sense of difficulty when it comes to that part. I'm getting blown up now. What the fuck?
Yeah, I would say, and to add to that, in the beginning I was having issues with the camera, and games of this type, Devil May Cry even had this problem. Sometimes the camera would be in a position where an off-screen enemy would blast you, and it's like, okay, had it not been for Danae, now I know I did my little rant and everything, but it's timed exclusives because you can see it in the achievement list. So
Right.
not to worry, anybody. But overall, the music gets a 10. That's the first time in a long time I give 10 out of 10 for a game soundtrack. The game, it puts you in the mood. It's freaking epic.
Yeah.
Especially the last boss fight. You'd be like, holy hell, like it's straight out of an anime. Straight
Like
up.
the last boss fight, when it got towards like when he was like doing his thing really at the end, you was just like your eyes were just like what the fuck, like oh shit, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I found myself as soon as I was like when I really started getting to beating them up, I was up there, I was like oh like damn shit, I was going nuts on that game.
So I mean, all in all, the music gets 10 out of 10. The gameplay, the graphics, very smooth. When you first play it, you're gonna find that damn, I did not realize this game was gonna run smooth at 60 frames. Minus the fact that when you're going into blade mode and you're cutting up, and the more pieces, the more polygons on screen, of course it's gonna slow down because
it starts to pixelate a bit, right?
Because you have a lot more to process.
Of course.
And they already put it out there between the PS3 and the Xbox version. I think the Xbox on the blade mode, when it chops down, still is 10 frames ahead of the PS3 version. But the PS3 has like certain shadows and certain effects that the 360 doesn't have. But now, the line is blurred between, because the games pretty much look identical, but graphics, top notch. I mean, it looks really good for what they were trying to deliver. So I'm
Right.
gonna give it a 9 out of 10. It's not perfect, but it's really up there. It looks really good, you know. But as far as the presentation, I'm gonna give it an 8. It's still Metal Gear, but I'm pretty sure it only runs at 60 frames because it's not rendering things further out in the background. It's not. It doesn't have the
Right.
dynamic range that Halo has or Metal Gear Snake Eater has. You know, but my verdict, I give the game a solid 8.5, almost a 9. It's not perfect, but it's
Right.
a damn good game. You can't take that
Yes, it
away
is.
from
And
from
you know
from this
what?
game.
And I'm not a superficial individual when it comes to graphics in the video game, because I mean, like, I can take a game with the most shittiest graphics, but if it has great gameplay, I'm with it. You know what I mean? But the game is actually beautiful. It's a pretty game. You know what I mean? I mean, actually, when,
Hmm.
like, when I was checking out Raiden and his beautiful endoskeleton or whatever the hell he is now, cyborg, and the sad part about it, they've like totally like stripped him down to where like the only thing that seems like is really human left on him is his head.
Yeah,
Like, like just this piece right here. I'm like, man,
yeah, yeah.
right? You've been through some shit, bro.
You know
But
what?
it's a
Raiden
beautiful
is
game.
literally RoboCop and Hayabusa rolled into one.
Exactly,
Yeah, it's like
exactly.
holy shit, like Cyber Ninja type stuff. But you know what? With the presentation or certain elements of the game, like gameplay, I'm gonna give the gameplay an 8. It's not perfect because of what we had pointed out. Weapon
Right, right.
fly changes, that'd be good. But if you want to break it down even further, tough, just like I did, that's how we're doing the format now. Just break it down
Mm-hmm.
into specific aspects, what you give 9 out of 10,
Sure, no
10 out
problem.
of 10, like that. And
Mm-hmm.
then I'll give Nelson the floor before we wrap up. But yeah, you got the floor, Danae.
Okay, graphically, I would say a 8.5 out of 10.
Okay, I
8.5 out of
agree with
10.
you.
Even, you know what? I'll even push for a 9. I'm not, graphically, it's a 9. Gameplay wise, I would say about a 7 due to the camera aspects and certain, like the lock-on feature, and also the weapon switching system is a little bit flawed. Like they need to improve that. Um, storyline, I think it's great because here's another thing too. What I enjoyed what they did with the story is that you can follow Raiden's story, but not to mention it also makes you, for those of like that are going to become fans of the series, they'll also start looking into the past Metal Gear games just to see what Raiden's character was, etc., etc.
When he
And
was
as far as
human.
like, yeah, exactly, yeah, basically when he was running around with no clothes on and everything like that, remember? Like, and as far as I would say, as far as when it goes to price point, price point, fan, how can me myself, I would have paid the $60 for it. I think it's worth it. You understand what I'm saying? I really think it's worth it. Versus Devil May Cry, where I think Devil May Cry should have been like a $25 or $40 game or something like that. Ninja, what is this? Metal Gear should have. It's definitely worth the $60. It's worth the $60
Okay.
bucks.
Okay.
I
But
hope I hit
overall,
all
what's your
areas about.
verdict for the game? I mean, with the graphics, the gameplay. I mean, we identified the flaws. We identified the great things about it in terms of the music and presentation. What's your average score for the game? Oh, that's for you, nerd. Because I'm gonna give
Oh, I'm
Nelson
sorry.
the sec.
Average score
No,
for
no,
the
I'm gonna
game, I
give
would give it
Nelson a
a.
segment for himself. Yeah, go
Oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Average score for the game, I would give it a out of a 10. I'd say an 8, an eight and a
An eight.
half, eight and a half,
Yeah,
eight and a
that's
half.
the average that's it's been getting
Mm-hmm.
across the board. It was solid scores, solid scores. All right, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna give Nelson some time. So Nelson, what are your what's your response to how we broke down the specific categories and just your overall score? What is your final verdict for this game?
Well, if you want me to break it down, let's see. We'll start off with like sound as of music and voicing and stuff like that. I give that I give that a 10 because of the music was solid. It kept me going. I'm not gonna lie. I just didn't want to stop playing once I heard that music, and especially for every boss fight. It was just, oh my god. For the presentation, the game looks really good. For not a Metal Gear game, but for Platinum Games to do this with Metal Gear Rising, I would have never expected this like at all. Like I would have thought it would have been some other generic crap or whatever. So for the presentation, I would give it about a 8. For gameplay wise, it's a little bit iffy about that because some people would say, "Oh, you should give it a perfect score because it's better than DMC and whatnot." But DMC had its moments and it has its like switching weapons and stuff like that. This one you have to sit there and you have to go into the customizations menu, do it from there. You're basically like pausing everything like a turn-based battle if you would think about it as that. So for the gameplay, I would give it like probably a 7. And as of overall, like an overall average rating, I'll probably give the game like a 8. An 8 just for a solid thing. And for the price tag, $60. Yeah, I could say this is worth the $60. Better than what I fucking paid for the Devil May Cry, even though I didn't pay for it. But yeah, much better than what I would have gotten. So yeah, about an 8 for this game.
And by the way, fans, it's legitimate. It's not that special stuff.
Yeah, it's not. It's actual legit.
Uh-huh. All right. So overall, what's your final verdict for the game?
It's a
like,
definite. It's a definite pickup. You should not skip out on this game. A lot of people did skip out on this game because they said, "Oh, there's no dodge mechanic." Look, guys, if you want me to show you right now that there's no dodge mechanic, I can just show it. You just hit either X and A or square and X, and there you go. There's your dodge mechanic right there.
Yep.
There you go. So go get the game.
Yep. All right. All right. So in conclusion, I want to thank Tough Nerd Toys CEO.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
And we're gonna have him on for more podcasts, and just stay tuned. Stay tuned. We're actually going to be talking about the Sony press conference that went down tomorrow, actually, because I actually wanted to get 5 people in this podcast. So it's going to be one that we're actually going to tackle pretty hard. So just stay tuned for that. I want to thank you guys for viewing our podcast. If you have any comments, leave them below. Please sub to our channel and help us get partnership with Twitch TV, because if we make the partnership, the stream is going to look better, because right now Twitch is providing the bandwidth, but if we get that partnership, it's going to be looking like Team Spooky and some of the other professional streamers right now. So also make sure you visit Tough Nerd Toys site. I'm a big He-Man fan, and he sells those that memorabilia on his website. So Danae, if you want to plug your website right now, you got a couple minutes to do so.
Well, yeah, Tough Nerd Toys. I specialize in action figures, collectibles, etc., etc. At the present time, we're doing like an overhaul of the site, so it'll be up by tomorrow again. But I've been in business since 2006, so trustworthy. Everything's done through PayPal or either secured credit card payments. But yeah, we also have a fan page, which is in full support of the NMO. And NFO now, right? NFO, and me and Alex have been
when we merge, it's like with our powers combined, we are
exactly.
NFO.
Do you know I hated Captain Planet growing up? I hated him. I couldn't stand Captain Planet. I couldn't. He felt like the punishment cartoon. Yeah,
they need to give that man a game, yo.
Yeah, they should.
Need to give him a game.
They should.
Well, I know they had an SNES game.
Mm-hmm. But you can visit my site at www.toughnerdtoys.com, or you can visit the fan, go and like the fan page. I'm always in full support of the NFO movement. I play Xbox Live. You can add me, play a game with me. Tough Nerd Toys is my gamer tag, so on and so forth. Alex will tell you, I'm a longtime friend and gamer.
You don't want to be in his room. It gets X-rated.
Yeah, oh no, my room, I must admit, my rooms are wild. They're very wild, but they're fun.
Yeah,
I come in
firsthand,
there,
I
I'm
would
like,
know
what
of
the heck
that.
is, about faces. All right, Nelson, you got any closing
I like when
comments?
Rios is in there, though.
Oh, yeah. He'd be like, what the hell? Oh, shit.
Yeah, because you'll just hear, look, I just picture Nelson just looking around like, what the fuck did he just say?
Yeah, that's what I was doing the first time when I was in the room. I was like, wait a second, what kind of wild shit?
Yeah, man. But yeah, Nelson, you got any closing comments before we wrap up tonight?
Just basically the same stuff that you just mentioned. Just follow the stream, guys, because we're really trying to push to get partnership. Because right now I am providing the stream and the podcast for you guys, but I would like to upgrade even further, and I would like to give back to the fans because if it wasn't for y'all, we wouldn't be doing this in the first place. So if you give us the help that we need, we'll give back to you as always. So that's a big help.
And we want to stay competitive. So, just want to give shout outs to Steph to Death, still watching your show. And I highly recommend. She has some great information on her page. Check out Alpha Omega Sin. I love when he goes into his rage mode. He's just like, nerd fucking rage. And those of you who watch Angry Joe, shout out to those guys. We aspire to be like them. So, I don't have anything else, so I guess without further ado, we'll see you next time on the New Fighting Order podcast. Peace.